Song for Avella. We live too long, so long I will, and jounce down that mountain, highest perfect knowing, or no highest perfect knowing, full of glorious ignorance, looking to shine elsewhere. Jack Kerouac, Desolation Angels. So long I will, sleeping here in Eureka, California, near the slough that rises daily with the morning sun and soaks back through the earth at evening tide. Longing for security, certainty, longing for the truth to bend over and kiss me, to rise up and soak me, longing for the Lord to strike me awake before it's too late. Longing, though I'm soaked with love, a new bride at my side, and my head getting hoary with pride. Humbled state at the beginning of the future, with trees the size they used to tie down Gulliver in the movie version of the Lilliputians. Trees covering canyons, waving like wheatgrass against the burgeoning blue sky at the end of the continent. Time reveals herself in the evening when the darkness plunges the car into instant isolation, traveling 101 north into a new millennium. Pierogies, $3 a dozen, the old Polak lady said on Friday nights at St. Stanislaus on Dus Avenue. I'm smelling now here in this kitchen at the edge of Eureka in the year of our Lord 2003. Memories of potato dumplings simmering in oily onions in skillets all over the Beaver Valley of my youth, in white cartons like we used to get for takeout coffee, back in Aliquippa, where the colors of the trees are still gray and black, haunted oaks along red brick-lined Maple Street. There are trees in Pittsburgh, too. When I was a kid looking for messages in the leaves on the trees, the same trees stick up lonely toothpicks at Fields Landing here, 2,600 miles west at the armpit of Humboldt Bay, like a ghost's teeth against the edge of the lagoon that ends at the end of the land. One lone egret on a half-sunk abandoned log when the dock came down, leaving these long, tooth-like posts dotted with herons and gulls. You cannot eat the view, resounding in my ears from Napoli, where the beauty of the surroundings leaves a hole in your heart. Humbled by redwoods so huge they stagger the mind in the great north coast of California. Legions of redwoods and their tops untouched by storms, listening to the wind whistling through them, listening to the rain pelt the metal hood of this trailer I'm sleeping in near the slough, where herons glide beneath the willow trees, waving in my imagination like the gnarled fig trees in Avella, Italy, when the moon was truly raw. And now over the slough, rising, always rising, I look out the window with a baby on the way, highly educated, no money. You cannot eat the view. Pierogies, $3 a dozen, hearing voices in my sleep. Humboldt Bay on the Bay Street in Eureka, watching the slough come in like clockwork, and every day, while it rains, seems to be encroaching ever so slightly after all the swinging, slothful sets of San Francisco. Here where the trees are the size Jack climbed in the beanstalk, and men tend to look like John Bunyan, Paul Bunyan, the full hibernation beard, the gnarled eyebrows, the insipid array of baseball caps, like they have back in Beaver County, where I first encountered trees, when I thought I'd be tempting debutantes in palaces east of the Mississippi, and here I find a girl from Missouri who looked me in the eyes and said, "Show me your soul," and loves me anyway. And then isn't that all there is to long for? Slogging down to the slough, redolent with the squishing stink of wet weeds, like former longing treks hitchhiking in the sooty slush of Kennedy Boulevard in '72, before I went away to college to go mad, and never returned from deliberation's door, dithering over which way to go, west west of the slopes, out beyond the sea of language on a dang fool dinghy, out beyond the mind where thoughts run pure, as if the moon could be raw. Took too seriously that spontaneous dictum to say it once truly or forever hold your tongue. Taking too literally that cat-like lunge of freedom Brando made on the screen, of time, stretching space, and what price spontaneity? No skills except chopping vegetables and carrying plates, sacrificed to the altar of art, which was a big bluff to drop off of, to dive out from, to declare a passionate desire not to get too involved with people and all their messiness. Here I land by the slough with the second chance at baby making love. And love no happenstance, foreshadowed 100 years in the past, and no payment plan, no blueprint, as the old man used to say. Now you gotta join us. Gotta clean toilets. You gotta do whatever you gotta do. I can hear him now on the phone admonishing me at 49, reminding me to scrape every bit of egg off the plate in Depression era, dead-end kid reality. But I came of age in the 70s, thought all I needed was a knife and some fishing line, some kind of Jeremiah Johnson with a portable typewriter fantasy I had when I was 20. Now try being old and sleeping on couches, and God forbid you lose your couch or your touch. Screaming with pain in my shoulder blades as I lean in to type every birth a miracle. At mine they said I wouldn't make it, but I proved them wrong, lived to sing this song. And now look at me, a cripple before my time, stretching to bear the truth I cannot bear, that I'm a wasted, addled, purposeless, scheming, deluded fool. Waking up with that truth in my gut, and the rising slough, the rainwater pelting the metal hood of this trailer in godforsaken Eureka, at the beginning of no time left, and a baby on the way, and the temperature falling as the slough rises. I can see water out my window, seeping up to the bay hails. Hay bales Dan next door uses for arrow practice. He's been here 20 years. Looks at me yesterday when I asked, feel it in your bones, Dan? And he says, nah, in his somnambulant Texas drawl, National Weather Service. With a smile, and I nod, nervously eyeing the canoe overturned by the broken riding mower, reminding me of those behemoth power mowers with which I cut holes around graveyard stones at my very first job, while all the pretty kids were sleeping it off at the prom. Me and Dudash neath the poplar trees, dodging masks of caterpillar foam in the willows east of Mount Olivet on Broadhead Road in Hopewell. Dudash, whose idea it was to tie earthworms to hydrogen balloons we made with lye and chemicals from the drugstore and let drift up past the pines to implode in the stratosphere before we ever touched drugs or the sky, longing for a miracle to get the fuck out of Hopewell. Well, here you go, son, the angel says and hands me a handful. Said you were longing for a child, now here she is. And she'll show you, if you're open now, to receive the spirit and tame the beast inside your breast. If you're present and attentive to her whims and real concerns. And still, I question every morning, every movement of the tides as they wax and wane around me, warm bed, praying to heaven, and a crucifix hanging deathly at the side of the bed. And Ellen eyes it sideways, superstitiously. And she's a Catholic girl, with just a squint of her crystalline blue eyes, riveting me to my humble place in this trailer at this juncture in time, as if to say, look at this cute Betty Bye suit your sister sent, hanging from the closet in the corner of the room, an altar to life that I've created with a white sheet and Christmas lights. Need you further proof that you are loved? What could you possibly be longing for? And me, full, dreaming of the ultimate microbehood, dreaming artistic schemes of salvation still at the age of hoary 9, hearing the horns of Halloween beating down my neck. Another week, and a blue-born baby will be facing me with those same crystalline eyeballs like she has, shining out from the other side, and no explanations necessary. No questions really pertinent then. Where's the money coming from? The old man's voice. Still the Great Depression shoeshine kid with his shoebox. In rainy Ambridge during the 30s when the moon was truly fucking raw. Now you're gonna have to join us, pal. Now you got another mouth to feed. You gotta do anything you can. You can't turn down work now. You gotta clean toilets if that's what you gotta do. So there I am, that summer, at the Bohemian Grove, under those skinny, sickly, long, tall redwoods, down on my hands and knees in a rustic shitter, scrubbing for all I'm worth, in a world of certainty and security and truth, for the captains of industry, the ultimate dominators of egocentricity over ego consciousness, roughing it in their spotless, rustic cabins, the world that has us by the phenomenological balls. You are where you think you are. And what you think you are, you'll never be who you truly are. Try thinking your way out of this one, young bhikkhu, roaming the angry streets at dawn, or down from a mountaintop, sitting here by the slough, on this rickety porch, and the splinters vying with spiders for the sting. I'm watching her delicate fingers grasping at imaginary straws, holding my hand as the sun rises radiant in the east, imagining little rubbery fingers grasping splinters in a few months, a child having a child by a child, and that child is me. Look at the big trees, baby, see? Majestical and all for free. The egrets, longingly, on the wing, swooping low to feast on grubs and slugs that rise up with the water at night, and the rain won't let up for weeks on end, and legions of spiders cover redwood planks to spin inside the hood, suspended next to Miss Muffet on her proverbial duff, and the clouds breaking clear one glorious golden Sunday, so that we may watch the sun rise in the birth red sky. It will be kind of justice to know that my vanity is thwarted once again here at Humboldt Bay, and instead of a son to carry my name from sun-tortured Avella outside Napoli, I have a beautiful, healthy, sparkling-eyed girl who will redeem me yet, my love, and I promise. October 29th, 2003. Thank you.